And in that moment, I have to say, you opened my eyes to something. You opened my eyes to how powerful an individual artist can be through his skills.
Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Pierre Sondergaard. I'm a texture artist in visual effects. Welcome to my podcast. Let's be honest, a life and a career as a working artist can be very fulfilling, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's filled with challenges and obstacles, and the path forward is not always clear or simple. On this podcast, we discuss all of this openly and honestly with experienced artists who have already walked that road. That's why I call it the naked texture artist. There are many podcasts that focus on and celebrate all the big achievements in visual effects and animation. But my career as a texture artist has not been one unending victory lap. So personally, I'm more interested in learning how my fellow artists handle the hard things, when things don't work, when things break, or when we're expected to produce the impossible. All of that stuff that takes place behind the curtain. So I invite you to join me on this journey. Hopefully together we can learn from the artists who went before us, save ourselves some scars and some tears, and increase our joy as working artists. Welcome to the Naked Texture Artist.
If you happen to be so in love with whatever you do, in my case texturing, that you just have to make a podcast about it, you find yourself in this fantastic kid in a candy store mode. Anything is possible. So where do your dreams take you? Of course, I started fantasizing about all the cool texture artists I would talk to and learn their secrets. OG masters like Gene Bolte, Steve Walton, or modern masters like Miriam Catherine, Chris Nichols, Nicolas Morel, or Michael Borhi. But apart from all of that sort of meet your heroes kind of stuff, the very first name that came up into my mind was my Peruvian friend and ex-colleague, Manuel Huertas Marchena. I've always liked South Americans, very simple people. You're nice to them, they'll be nice to you. The end. Someone who comes from a part of the world where the social fabric is very complicated and complex. You don't want to be too nice and people will not like you. It's a whole thing. For me, it's very exhausting to navigate. Never mind. So when I see South Americans in a studio, I always make sure I go and I introduce myself. Leaving London for Montreal to work on Deadpool, I met Manuel, and we've been friends ever since. For each of these episodes, sort of a mental image forms in my mind, or a tagline, if you will. For Miriam, it was cinema royalty. For Stephen Thornhill, it was a man for all seasons. Manuel, he's the ninja. You know ninjas? Unbelievable power, hiding in plain sight where you can't even see it. They are slicing you up before you even know it. And you can't grab them, you can't get a hold of them, you can't contend with them. They just evade you, glide off, disappear in a puff of smoke. All seemingly without breaking a sweat. That's Manuel. I am forever in awe of what Manuel manages to produce, and more than that, how cheerful and unfazed he is come hell or high water. We've had some amazing conversations over the years where Manuel has shared some fantastic insights about the work we do. And those were always moments where I couldn't help thinking, man, I wish I'd recorded this. This could help a lot of people. Which is basically the reason why I do this podcast. Of course, what flows freely and naturally when two buddies are hanging out and shooting the breeze doesn't always come out exactly the same way once you have a microphone in your face. But it's my promise to you, the listener, that I will keep working to extract and bottle up that magic and that wisdom that makes Manuel so special over the coming years. And then we can all be ninjas, or at least a little more ninja-like. Here's the first episode of my conversation with Manuel Huertas Marchena. Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you,
It's
dude.
been ages and ages.
Last time we saw, do you remember where it was?
Yeah, we were watching the football game, the World Cup.
Yeah,
Remember?
yeah. That
Yeah,
was
at the Spanish club. This
at the Spanish club.
this not very impressive club on Saint
Dude, when
Laurent.
you're in good company, it doesn't matter. And you
Yeah,
had beer, right? That's
yeah,
all. That's all you need.
it was pretty good. It was
And
pretty good.
my team lost, right?
Yeah, I think it was 1-0 or something. It was very little.
And you were making fun of me.
I was not.
So I'm gonna make fun of you today. No, I'm kidding.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, it was great, man. It's been a while. It's good to see you. It's good to see you.
I see you got gym equipment behind you. What's going on there? You got like all these dumbbells.
So
Nice.
these are all plastic props. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, actually, what happens is that when we started the lockdowns, like the first ones on, I think it was March or April, something around there,
Yeah.
and the gyms closed. Like I was in the apartment all day working, and I like to go to the gym and lift weights. That's sort of what I like doing to, just change ideas a little bit. And when they closed and they totally killed me because I was like, oh man, I just, was stuck in the house and just, it's not good for, your mind. You know what I mean?
No.
So I spent some money on just getting some equipment. So I got a bench, I got some dumbbells. And ever since that, I've been training, dude. I've been training like five days a week. So
Awesome. So
I'm to the point of,
you're ripped.
I'm on my third Wacom pen. Just I'll leave it at that.
Wow, you're so strong. You wear them out. I like that.
Kidding, yeah. It keeps me healthy, I guess. So that's good.
Oh, wow. So how's working from home going for you? How do you find all of this?
Well, it has definitely some things that I'm surprised that I like, and some things that for sure I don't like. I would tell you the obvious ones. Like, so I would say the things that I don't like. It's being all day here, which it's just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that it's like good and bad because on a good side you can basically access your computer, anytime you want to do an update, or let's say you have an idea or something, you can right away go on and hit it, right? But on the other side, it's like you just want to have like some human company sometimes. Just go and make a joke to somebody and
Yeah, absolutely.
some stuff like that. Yeah.
I find it's incredibly practical for a lot of things. Short commutes. If you want to check on that render that's going to finish at 10 o'clock in the night, you don't need to be in the office for that. You just do it then,
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Or get some quick things on the farm early at 6:30 in the morning, and it'll be ready for review at 10. It's cool. But so one of the reasons, I have a number of reasons why I wanted to interview you. And you're this sort of magical person.
Wow.
Because no, seriously, Manuel. Just when you have this sort of French Canadian studio, you have three camps usually. You got the English speakers, you got the French speakers, and then you also have the Spanish speakers, because there are a lot of people from Mexico, from Latin America, from South America,
True,
that are also coming up to work in Canada, and you. You're this sort of fairy tale creature that just passes between all these different worlds. Wherever you want to go, you're welcome everywhere. You're friends with everybody.
Thanks for putting it like that. To be honest, yeah, it's such a cool thing to I was thinking about the other day, like such a cool thing to being able to. I mean, when we're in a studio, be in a room with like people from like literally all around. Dude, I mean, you're from Denmark. I'm from Peru. Like, what the hell are we doing working together in a film, right? And somehow it's just those kind of things happen on a film production, and you meet all sort of people. I mean, in my case, I got to visit Canada a really long time ago, and I got to learn French, and I knew a little bit of English, so I can manage myself in those, three languages with Spanish.
I think you're doing better than that, to be completely honest. There are a lot of us that never manage three languages, and you have done that, and many other things besides.
How are you going to deal with comp? You need to deal in French. If they need French, you deal in French. If they need English, deal in English. You need Spanish.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. But I just remember when we were working together that I don't know, there was never anybody that had a bad word to say about you. You know, you're just friends with everybody. It was a magnificent thing to behold, which is which must be a secret superpower when you're working in a studio.
That's cool to hear. To be honest, I like to think that I don't take things too serious, although I like taking my work seriously, but people just, it's people, right? I mean, we're just so many hours a day in the studio and should keep it positive most of the time. So that's my attitude. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember if you were thinking to yourself, what will you do for lunch? Oh, yeah, Manuel, he's my buddy. I'll go for lunch with him. Forget about it. Take a number in the queue, you know? That'd be
dude,
Manuel,
I'm having lunch myself like every day now.
you'd be out. One day you're out with a Mexican compositors or whatever with their group. Then the next day you're with the French. Then it's fantastic to see.
I'm really grateful for that, because I mean, life, can bring you, bad things, but can also bring you opportunities like that where you get to experience like so many different cultures without traveling that much, just in a workplace,
Yeah.
and that also distills in the work somehow. I like to think that, just contrasting opinions and different mindsets, because every culture has I mean, of course, people are unique regardless of their culture, but some cultural things that are distilled in the opinions, and I think that helps to bring the work farther as well. So definitely.
Here's the first part of being a ninja. Notice Manuel's sort of core mode of thinking, like his default setting, just being grateful for the opportunity. Psychologically, gratitude instantly cancels out so many other negative emotions. Whereas the ungrateful person is shunned by everybody except fellow people with a negative bent. They sort of seem to attract each other like gravity. However, the grateful person, on the other hand, has doors opening everywhere. It's almost like the force of life just flows freely through such a person.
And somebody who has a reputation for being friends with everybody, he's never going to look far for gigs, you know.
Hopefully.
No, we all know artists that are the opposite, where you're like when you have to say about them, yeah, they got good skills, but they're gonna make enemies of everybody. So
I think that that's a good point. Like, you should. I wouldn't say it's even a matter of being introverted or extrovert. It's just a matter of being somebody that likes to play in a team. I mean, you're part of a bigger thing, and then you just need to sum. You bring your thing to the table. You bring your part, and somebody else brings it. And if you have that attitude, and other people have that attitude, then the product is going to reflect that. If some of the pieces are fighting for themselves, and they're like, oh, it's me first, then the image, then somehow that's going to show in the image. It's going to be, you know I think that maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think.
do you remember when you were breaking into the industry, when you were maybe you're trying to get your first job or your second job, and you're just trying to get
Yes.
things get
Yeah,
things
yeah.
rolling? Do you remember back then? I used to think, oh man, when I just get my first job, everything will be rosy and fantastic and whatever. And then
Yeah.
then then you realize when you have your first job, it's not enough. You've got to find a second job and so on and so forth. And then
Yes.
I kept thinking, oh, if only whenever I get to this level, then everything will be great. But it turns out there are new challenges at every level.
Every time, dude. Every time, and isn't that the cool thing? It's like a video game, right? Like, you think you
Yeah.
you mastered something, but then, oh, there's a new level just open for you, and it's completely new, and you need to learn it again. And I think one of the things that I appreciate from people is the ability to always question things. No matter what level you are in your career, no matter how good you are, always be able to question. Because you never know. There's this dude that maybe has like 6 months experience, but he has been living in Bangladesh for a trip, and then you need to work in a Bangladesh movie, and then this dude has like a crazy good opinion on that. You never know, right? So keep yourself open.
So at this point in time in your life here in your career, what does the next level look like when you're sort of on the ladder and you're just looking just above yourself? What is your challenge right now? What is the next level for you?
I would say, I mean, to be honest, just for CG work, of course, every show it's a new thing, right? You're gonna be learning and keep progressing and stuff like that. I actually started I actually started a business on site, so I started a company, you
Yeah.
know, and that's not related to CG, but talking about things that bring you farther in a different direction. To me, it's been having a new business, doing interactive design and doing some Unreal Engine work for clients, and that's a different ballgame because now I'm the person that is dealing with the client straightly, and that it's a different game than when you're in a studio and then you get something signed and you're the person that is a little bit in the back just trying to get the best you can, sorry, of the work you get assigned, but you're not necessarily dealing with the pressure of the client. So now I get to do that, and it's good and bad, but it's like it's a good stress, I would say. I'll keep it positive, but yeah, it's been good
Wow.
to do something different.
So
Yeah.
you're an executive producer and artist and everything.
I have a small company that hopefully gets a little better this year, but I would say that on the CG side of things, seriously, I won't give an elaborate answer because I don't think to me there's one. It's just keep having fun, dude. Like when you have fun, things just they look good because you like what you're doing and it just shows. So I would say I want to have bigger challenges. Yes, I want to have new challenges, of course. So I hope it keeps like that.
Yeah, of course. You're absolutely right about having fun because I think the more stressed you are, the less fun you have is like it's a constriction. It just sort of it constrains. It's like it's choking out your powers where you can't let them flow as freely and as fully.
Yes.
So your decisions become slower, and you make worse decisions, and you move slower at a slower pace, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely.
You know.
One thing that we've talked about a lot over the years when we've been sort of like shooting the breeze and complaining about gigs and deadlines and what have you. I'm really this is my ongoing quest in life.
Hmm.
Pick better gigs.
Hmm.
I seriously, I look across my entire career and I still haven't gotten it better than a 50-50 chance. So it's literally just a coin toss. Is this going
Well,
to be a good gig or a bad gig, you know?
Mark, do you know the first thing you need to check is the coffee, man? If the coffee is not good, nothing can be good. So first thing you see is like what kind of coffee machine they have. Do they
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
coffee machine? Is
Oh,
it free? Is it not? And then you go from there. You can get as deep as micromanagement. And that's something I hate, and I guess you hate as well.
yeah.
I would say when people start blaming other people just because they get nervous, that creates a mood that is not good for creativity. It's just everybody so trying to defend themselves because deadlines, because like pipeline, because whatever, just things happen. That's the nature of things. How do I spot like a good or bad gig?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't because I'm already in.
So
By that
let
time, I realized it's
okay,
too bad.
let's think back to the end of Atomic Fiction, your time with
Yeah,
Atomic Fiction the first time around.
yeah.
You just finished an absolute hero asset for Deadpool.
That was a cool show, man. That was a
Yeah,
really cool show.
it was, and in that moment, I have to say, you opened my eyes to something. You opened my eyes to how powerful an individual artist can be through his skills.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
No, seriously, because the work that you put in on that Ducati motorcycle,
That was a cool asset.
it was, and you were sweating over it for, I don't know, weeks, months, who knows how long, and it looked amazing. It looked amazing, and it really had a huge impact.
Thanks a lot.
But
So,
but
sorry, go ahead.
but in that moment, you're flying high at Atomic, and I would imagine they would happily renew you for whatever amount of time you would want. But at the same time, it was like you had a distant look in your eyes. You had already decided to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean,
How did you make that decision between these two gigs? I think you went. Did you go to DNEG in Vancouver after that, or
I did,
yeah,
and so Atomic for me, it's been an amazing experience. You know, of course, there's bad things, but I would say it's an amazing experience because there's mostly positive things to say. And it's been an adventure. And actually, Atomic was one of the inspirations I've had to open my own company. You know, because I saw it's a entrepreneurship of like two guys that are super talented. You know, come from like California. They work in big studios. They're super smart. They come to a different city with a different language, with a different mindset, even with a different weather, dude. You know,
yeah.
and they open this crazy studio, and just because they like doing CD, right? And I'm like, at that time, it's like, wow. I mean, they did The Walk, which was a crazy fun and also crazy show, and then they did Deadpool.
Do you see what he's doing here? Probably not, because you don't know Manuel, but I do. He is ninjaing me during the interview. I hate this guy. Gliding off on the question. All done with a smile, of course. I was his desk mate at this time, so I'm pretty sure he's not answering my question directly here. You see, to Manuel, I'm asking many of these questions because I'm hoping he will tell a certain valuable story. But as a good ninja, he can't be pinned down or controlled. And so he ends up controlling the reality. Never mind. I will keep pushing, keep enduring, and I know we will get to some of these gems eventually.
And you know, I think that when I said stress, you know, like micromanagement and stress, that's not a good thing. I think it can also stress can also bring good things. For example, Deadpool was a super stressful show, but in a good side. Like you're putting pressure because of time constraints, but the mood is so cool. Everybody's so motivated that even though there's little time for things, the quality of the work is good, and
Yeah.
that's also something to be appreciated. You know, because if if you don't have enough stress, you don't get motivated. But if you have too much, then
It kills you.
it kills you. So that
Yeah.
that that thing. So just to answer your question, sorry, I went a little bit on the side. How do I left? Well, actually, I wanted to travel and see other things, to be honest. And although I really liked Atomic, at that time I went for a trip to Peru for like 3 months and had fun there and like did other stuff. And then I got a call from DNEG and they offered me this opportunity, which I took, and it was great to go to Vancouver. So
I think you had just gotten your Canadian PR a couple of months before or something like that.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
so it simply came down to you wanted a change of scenery. You've been in Montreal for a long time. You wanted something else. You're trying to kill yourself. Seriously, man. You're trying to kill yourself. All of these. I mean, I've done so much moving over the past couple of years because I had to move to Toronto for
Yeah,
in order to apply for my PR. And
yeah,
and once I got it, a month later, I was out of Toronto back to Montreal again because I wanted to come back. So
yeah.
all of that moving, I hate
How
it.
do you like Toronto?
Toronto's all right. Toronto's all right. It has a very, very different vibe than Montreal.
Right.
Obviously, where Montreal is very compact city, a bit like New York City, right? Where you have everything in on Manhattan. It's just in a very compact kind of thing. Whereas Toronto is more spread out, like Los Angeles, maybe if you've been, where the city has many small pockets that you could think of as city centers. So Toronto is all right, but of course there are more jobs in Montreal. So
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been there for too long. Usually just, passing by.
did you
Uh,
ever did you ever work in Toronto?
no, I haven't. I haven't. I've been, yeah, mostly in Montreal and Vancouver for work, but I've been there for drinks.
Check this out. Do you know what this is?
What is it?
Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. We have a tiny bit of housekeeping to do on the way out. If this episode has been helpful to you, why not share the podcast with your colleagues and friends? If you'd like to support the podcast, I'd appreciate if you bought me a coffee. You can do that on Ko-fi. That is spelled ko-fi.com/The Naked Texture Artist. One word. If you have suggestions, comments, or questions, I'd love to hear them. Feel free to drop me a line on thenakedtextureartist@gmail.com. That is The Naked Texture Artist written out in all one word @gmail.com. As I mentioned, having a busy day job in visual effects means my release schedule for this podcast can be a bit irregular. So if you don't want to miss out, subscribe to The Naked Texture Artist wherever you get your podcasts. Or follow the podcast on the socials, then you'll be alerted when the next episode drops. The music in this episode was Awake by Tycho. Nick Sifoni helped put the sound together, and everything else was done by me, your host, Mark Pierre Sondergaard. Speak to you soon.